I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but recently YouTube has decided to wage war on ad blockers, which I suppose is a good thing for people like me who are trying to grow their channels and hopefully make money doing this one day. But I was a consumer of YouTube content long before I was a provider of it, and as a user, it has been a rude awakening. For the first time in a long time, I've been exposed to the strange and confusing world of YouTube advertisements. And given my affinity for gaming, it's no surprise that the bulk of these ads are for games. But these ads aren't for Call of Duty and Fortnite. The majority of them are for the lowest effort, bottom of the barrel games you could imagine. Games so formulaic that it was genuinely hard to believe human beings put time and effort into developing them. This got me thinking, who actually plays these? Is there a soul on Earth who watches these ads and goes,
"Hey, that looks fun"?
I had to see for myself what these games were actually like, so I decided that I would jump headfirst into the belly of the beast for your viewing pleasure. So, for the past few weeks, I have been noting every time YouTube advertises a game to me, and have since played and reviewed them all. Spoiler alert, they're mostly awful, so if you came here looking for some hidden gems, you've come to the wrong place. But before we get into it, let's get some ground rules out of the way first. 1, I am not playing anything that just looks like an outright scam, nor am I doing any in-game transactions to speed up progress. 2, I'm not playing anything that is not safe for work because I don't want to deal with demonetization in the future, which is ironic considering YouTube are the ones running the ads in the first place, but hey, that's politics, I guess. 3rd, I will play every game for at least 1 hour, and trust me, that will seem like an eternity. Of course, an hour is not enough time to render an in-depth review, so take my scores with a grain of salt. It is totally possible that they get better with more playtime, although I kind of doubt it, and when you see what I played, you'll understand why. Finally, I do want to note something else. My list of games isn't that long. But HDR, I hear you say. You said you were getting tons of ads, what gives? Well, I'm not kidding, roughly 4 out of every 5 ads I got were for one game. One game so determined to get my attention that it overshadowed all others. And I kind of have to give them credit. Their ads certainly caught my attention and in large part led me to making this video in the first place. The game I am talking about, of course, is Hero Wars. Whoever is in charge of the marketing for this game is either a genius or a complete psycho, and I genuinely can't tell which it is. These ads aren't just weird, they are something from a fever dream you would be embarrassed to tell your friends about. There are enough twists and turns in there to make M. Night Shyamalan jealous, and there seems to be a never-ending supply of them too. I've probably seen at least a dozen different Hero Wars ads, and they never fail to weird me out. It's remarkable. So, with these insane ads in mind, the question must be asked, what is the game actually like? With a landing page like this, my hopes were certainly high. Just look at these reviews. Joe Riggs says, "This game is the next best thing smoking." And when there's smoke, there's fire, and I'm sure that Hero Wars is a fire game. Boo! Jaime M says he couldn't believe that someone was able to provide a game that was this simple and yet so intriguing that the next step was entrancing. They're on Twitch, they're on YouTube, and just in case you were looking for some more credibility, MMO gave the game an 8.4 and Level Winner gave it a 9.1. So with my doubts entirely erased, I jumped headfirst into Hero Wars, and to my total shock, the game is actually pretty terrible. Yeah, not good. The game is an auto-battler, so the only way to actually influence what's happening on screen is by clicking the ultimate button every few seconds, and even that can be automated if you want. I chose not to do that though, because when I play a game, I like to play the game, but you know, that's just me. Even if you're into the auto-battler genre, I can't imagine this is a very good one. There's barely any audio at all behind the extremely loud battle music, and even that cuts out pretty frequently.
Oh. Yeah, the combat music broke.
Each level lasts no more than 90 seconds, and you can even speed that up to 1.5 times if you want. There's also a 5-time speed option, which is locked behind a paywall. That's right, they expect you to pay real money to play the game less. And that's not the only thing they expect you to pay for. The more I played Hero Wars, the more I realized the entire game is a glorified vehicle for microtransactions. In typical gacha game fashion, you roll for heroes periodically and add them to your team. And of course, the coolest heroes are locked behind RNG or a straight-up paywall, which they remind you of frequently by shoving the store page for their new heroes in front of you every few minutes.
Not at all. Well, I mean, the animation style. Oh my god. Why is Yasmin so detailed? Alright, well. Nope.
They also bombard you with invitations to sign up after pretty much every level, which again are only 90 seconds long at most. It's not all bad though. I do think Hero Wars gets some credit for at least having the same art style as the ads, but strangely the gameplay is entirely different, and it's not any more or less exciting than what they show in the ads. In the ads, it looks like you click on characters around the level to steal their loot and get stronger, but nothing like that ever happens in the game as far as I can tell. The only thing you get to do besides the side-scrolling auto battles I've been showing is the occasional puzzle, and to be honest, they were the most engaging part of the game by far. I really had to think about every move I made strategically, and there was even one head-scratcher that stumped me for hours.
Oh, we're back to one of these. Okay. Well, I think I'm gonna...
Yeah!
Wow. I'm a genius. I don't know. Oh my god.
Overall, the heroes and abilities were enough to tickle my brain for an hour, but the total lack of meaningful gameplay or decision-making of any kind, coupled with the incessant attempts to get me to give them my money, made Hero Wars a pretty unpleasant experience. Plus, I couldn't even complete my hour of gameplay because I ran out of lightning bolts, which are an in-game currency you literally can't play without. 2 out of 10. Next up, we have Hero vs. Horde, which looked to be a mobile version of Vampire Survivors, which is a game I know people enjoy, so my hopes were slightly higher heading into this one. The basic premise is slightly more engaging than that of Hero Wars because at least I can control where my character goes, but they still attack automatically. It becomes apparent pretty quickly that the real draw here is choosing upgrades and, once again, rolling for new heroes. As far as gameplay goes, I kept looking for opportunities to synergize my upgrades because that really seemed like it would be the core of the game strategically. But the upgrades are so generic that there really aren't any bad choices. It would be like if someone walked up to you on the street and offered you a free phone case or a free loaf of bread. Neither one is particularly exciting, but if you have to choose one, it really won't make a big difference either way. And just in case that choice actually does sound meaningful to you, know that they give you a choice like that roughly every 9 seconds or so, and that's not a joke. So if you're unhappy with your last choice of upgrade, all you have to do is wait another 9 seconds where the flow of combat, if you can even call it that, will once again be interrupted by another menu. The best thing I can say about this game is there's a very surface level dopamine hit you get from running into a big group of enemies and watching them all die. I did also do a couple boss fights in Hero vs. Horde, which were at least a little better because I had to position myself a certain way to avoid getting hit, but that's about it. Like Hero Wars, this is a brain tickler at best. 2.5 out of 10. Alright, 2 games in and things are not looking so good. I mean, I thought YouTube would have my best interests at heart when recommending me games to play. But fear not, because I had a feeling things were about to turn around in a big way with Dragonheir Silent Gods. Dragonheir was looking to be a clear and obvious step up from what I had played so far, so I was really looking forward to seeing what this game had to offer. And right off the bat, the jump up in production value was palpable. That's right, we got graphics, we got cutscenes, we got Game of Thrones references, we got a character creator I accidentally skipped.
Human, pretty basic there. Half elf, oh, it's Draco Malfoy. He's even wearing green.
We got the official partnership with Dungeons & Dragons creator Wizards of the Coast. The odds were stacked in Dragonheir's favor, and when I saw that I could use my Hero Wars-inspired ultimate attack to pop a poisonous pimple, I knew this was gonna be good. But as I sank my teeth into Dragonheir's Silent Gods, I realized that I had been duped by the game's stylish veneer, and that in practice there really wasn't a ton going on. Don't get me wrong, it is an absolute marvel compared to what came before it in this video, but it's still rough around the edges by normal standards. The world doesn't have much scale to it, the quote-unquote decisions you have to make don't feel consequential at all, and the character progression feels shallow.
The same, oh no, alright, so I'll equip that for her, and then I'll give good Hexandra, I'll give her the helmet. Again, I would really like to see these things, but I think I'm asking too much.
Before long, I once again found myself rolling for heroes, where I managed to get the most boring-looking character ever conceived.
Meredith! Oh, Meredith is so lame. No!
From here, the picture became clearer. This wasn't Wish.com Diablo 4. This was another straight-up gacha game with a D&D paint job. But Dragonheir seemed to have a real player base, unlike Hero Wars, which told me I was in the top 6,000 globally after playing for under an hour, which I'm taking to the grave, by the way. Dragonheir even had a global chat feature where people can talk strategy and get into little arguments like Redditors in training. I even tried the feature out myself to see how welcoming the Dragonheir community was to new players.
Is Tarison good? Oh, he sucks. No. Oh, wait! The only one that's marginally useful is Meredith?
It's not exactly a high bar, but Dragonheir was easily the best thing I'd played so far, and it wasn't the worst way I've ever spent 2 hours. I probably won't pick it up ever again, nor would I recommend it to anyone, but the gameplay and presentation are good enough that I had a decent time. 4.5 out of 10. At this point, I was starting to get pretty cynical. Of the 3 games I'd played, all 3 clearly used gameplay as a means to push players towards in-game monetization, and that makes some amount of sense. The demographic of people who would impulsively try a game because they saw it in an ad on YouTube are probably the same type of people who would be likely to splurge on in-game spending. But just when I thought I had YouTube game advertisements all figured out, something unexpected happened. I was blessed with a little ad tucked away on the corner of my screen for none other than Wizard 101. Now, before all you 101 heads out there excitedly await my 10 out of 10 score, know that I have absolutely zero nostalgia for this game. While you guys were stuck inside playing your games on the family computer, I was outside making friends and playing sports. No, I'm just kidding. I was also inside playing games, but I was always more of a Club Penguin kind of guy. Things with Wizard 101 got off to a rocky start. I was so excited to be transported to a simpler time before things like microtransactions and solving for X were commonplace. But instead, I struggled to open the game for over 30 minutes as the weird half-Steam, half-web client seemed to fold like a cheap lawn chair upon being asked to perform its sole function. But after those initial hiccups, Richard Poisoncoin was born, and I was ready to get wizarding. This might not come as a shock to anyone, but the most apparent thing about Wizard 101 is just how dated it all feels. The game feels like it was coded in cuneiform on a stone tablet in ancient Mesopotamia. And while I wish I could say there was some charm to that, I came away from Wizard 101 with a newfound appreciation for modern UI conventions. Well, most modern UI conventions. But those things aside, Wizard 101 brought a lot to the table that excited me in a way that none of the other games had to this point. I mean, you can have a pet named Krusty Harvey, and you can ride a big duck around. For those two things alone, I knew this would be the highest score so far. For the first time since starting on the video, I actually came back to the game for a second session, and Wizard 101 continued to impress. The combat, while extremely slow, had some cool looking animations, and I like the fact that you can join other players' battles on the fly. You can actually see the gear you equip, and I was excited about continuing to play after I saw the mounts and spells you can get after enrolling in your School of Magic. A lot of the early 2000s era charm of Club Penguin was coming back to me. I wanted to have the coolest decorations in my dorm room, I wanted to unlock the Lightning T-Rex spell, and I wanted to have a cooler mount than just the default broom. But most of all, I wanted it to rain so I wouldn't have to go to baseball practice. As the power of nostalgia started to wear off, it dawned on me that I would definitely need more time to give a fair score. But since I wanted to move on to the other games on my list, I looked through the Steam reviews, which led to some troubling revelations. Mainly that the game demands a larger and larger cash investment if you want to do any of the endgame content. Skeptical, I even decided to consult a friend of mine who said he had put some serious time into Wizard 101, and he confirmed everything the reviews were saying. In fact, spending money in the endgame isn't just encouraged, it's required. All of the endgame content is locked behind a paywall, and not just any paywall, a yearly subscription that costs the same as Final Fantasy XIV's at $80 per year. So all in all, I can see a couple of scenarios where Wizard 101 would be a blast. One, it's 2009 and you've been given unlimited access to the family computer. Or two, it's 2024 and you want to relive being given unlimited access to the family computer by making a new account with some friends. Even still, I could not under any circumstances imagine paying $80 a year for Wizard 101, even if it was good for a few hours of clunky, nostalgia-fueled fun. 5 out of 10. Back to mobile game hell with Last War Survival. I don't even know how to introduce this one, so I will introduce it to you the same way it was introduced to me, as the #1 strategy game on the App Store, which is such an insane fact for so many reasons, chief among them being that this game requires literally zero strategy. This is a game where you run at hordes of zombies and choose upgrades by moving your thumb to the left or to the right. That's it. In between battles, they also shoehorn in some Clash of Clans style base building to help you harvest resources, which eventually let you, wait for it, roll for heroes. God damn it. If there is one word I could use to describe this game, that word would be brain dead. And that's not just because there's zombies in it, if you know what I'm saying. I'm losing my mind. The gameplay loop is mindless battles, followed by mindless base building where you are overloaded with so many icons and information that it's impossible to know what's happening, then you roll for heroes and repeat. I'm also pretty sure the art and voice acting are AI generated, which gives things a pretty fake feel in general, but that's the least of this game's problems. On the plus side, they did have another in-game chat like Dragonheir, so that was a nice feature to see. I mean, it's always good to see people come together around games they love. Oh my god, they're asking each other for nudes. The only positive thing I could think of about this game is that it would be good for teaching young kids basic math when choosing the upgrades, but even then the good upgrades are in blue and the bad ones are in red, so it doesn't really work for that either. It does function at the most basic level as a video game, so points for that, I guess. The top review for this game on the App Store says it's a good time waster, and if the best thing about a game is that it's a waste of time, I'm not really sure there's much left to say. I really don't see a reason to recommend this to anyone unless you're interested in sending strangers pictures of your dirt tulip, which may be the most vile combination of two words ever created by mankind. This game made me feel bad for liking video games. Moving on. 1.5 out of 10. Alright, so we've seen Discount Diablo as a gacha game, Discount Vampire Survivors as a gacha game, a Clash of Clans with Zombies gacha game. What are they gonna torture me with next? A Breath of the Wild gacha game? That's right, for the final game on our list we have the granddaddy of all gacha games,
Genshin Impact.
but my hopes were cautiously high for this one, which is funny considering I don't like anime, Breath of the Wild, or gacha games, but Last War broke me down to the point where I would have been excited about anything. Plus, there are people I know with opinions I respect that really like Genshin Impact, so how bad could it be? As it turns out, not bad at all. I'm not sure if this has anything to do with the bitter taste Last War left in my mouth, but Genshin Impact felt like a huge breath of fresh air, and was honestly just a straight up fun experience. Yes, it is pretty obviously borrowing from Breath of the Wild in more than a few places, and it definitely has awful anime voice acting.
Yeah, Paimon really owes you for that. Otherwise, Paimon likely would have drowned. So Paimon will do her best to be a great guy.
But other than that, most of what I experienced with Genshin was positive. Switching between characters to take advantage of certain elemental interactions was intuitive and enjoyable, and I looked forward to adding new party members to my team to see what their movesets added to the combat equation. The open world, while nothing spectacular, offered enough content to make me want to explore.
Oh, what's up, chickens? What's up, Timmy? They'll be back. What the fuck? What?
Shit, they even managed to inject some gameplay into the cooking mechanics. That's not to say there weren't elements that fell a little short, though. The character customization felt pretty surface level, and there was no palpable difference I felt from equipping any of the gear I found. The difficulty was also non-existent, to the point where I was checking my health bar to see if I was even being damaged by the enemies. And the one boss fight I did was pretty goofy. It also strikes me as the hardest game to fairly score given just a couple hours of play, but if I had to guess where Genshin was headed, it seemed to me like a fun open world to explore with a surprising amount of meat on its bones combined with an impressive array of characters. The endgame probably uses rising difficulty to constrict the pool of viable characters until you're stuck grinding for good RNG or just give in and spend money. But none of that changes the fact that out of the games I played, this was the best, no question. 6.5 out of 10. 7 if Paimon would stop talking.
These statues scattered across the land to show the Seven's protection over the world. Among the 7 gods, this god controls the wind.
Okay.
Paimon's not sure whether the god you're looking for is the animal god, but...
I think that's anime. That's how you're supposed to say it.
Alright guys, that about does it for this video. I'm not sure how to wrap this one up other than to tell you that most games from YouTube ads are not worth playing, but you probably didn't need me to tell you that. One thing's for sure though, I am very excited about going back to playing actually good games. I'm looking to upload monthly from here forward, so stay tuned, hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.